There we go. Check 1, 2. Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear us and see us. Let us know in the chat. We can already see a lot of you. Thank you for tuning in today. We're on the Hohner YouTube channel, and this is the Hohner Live. This is episode 83, which is crazy. And our special guest, an interview guest, I'm super excited. I mean, if you saw the Golden Melody live stream, you have to know her by now, is Julia Aurora Dill. So thank you so much. Welcome to the Hohner Live.
Thank you.
I'm super excited to talk everything music, Golden Melody, harmonica with you. Everybody out there, you can ask questions in the chat. And people are tuning in from West Kentucky, Stockholm, India, Malta. That's crazy. Iran. It's a worldwide thing. So,
hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Can you tell us where are you right now?
I am in my studio in my garage in Missouri. It's cold here today. I'm not sure the temperature, but it's a little chilly out here in the garage today.
Yeah, I don't know how to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, so
right.
I don't know what's happening here.
Brr.
Let me Google. Yeah, it's like 32 degrees Fahrenheit here.
That's a little colder than here. It's probably 40 or 50 here, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I went out for a walk this morning and I didn't stay out very long. It's too cold. But yesterday or the day before, it was about 80, 85 degrees. So I'm sure the temperatures will change again soon.
Oh, Roberto is tuning in from Rio de Janeiro. I will actually be in Brazil in September. Have you ever been to Brazil?
Not yet. Not yet.
I'm excited. I love the music.
Yeah. Very happy, festive music.
So let's start a little different. Like, not that you're not with your beginnings of playing music and stuff, but what would you say keeps you interested or keeps you fascinated about the harmonica today?
Boy, that's a great question.
Like, how do you keep the
how do you keep
going
the spark?
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What still gets you excited and going and practicing? And
it's a process, and there's different things that will happen. Sometimes I think, because you do lose motivation sometimes, or you'll get a little burnt out if you're practicing or if you're performing a lot.
Yeah.
Or you see somebody that plays a lot better than you, and you think, oh, it's going to take a long
that can take both directions, right?
It motivates you, and sometimes sometimes when I see somebody really good, I get a mix of emotions, and I think, I'm just going to pack those harmonicas away. I'm done. And then I know it's not true, though. After a while, I get over that and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go at it. And so there's different motivations. Sometimes it's seeing somebody play something a sound come out of the harmonica that I've not heard before, a chord or just a little riff or something like that. And sometimes it's just somebody sending me a message and saying, I live here in this country and harmonica is not very popular, and I watch all your videos, and every video you post I watch and I try to learn it as best I can. That's absolutely the best motivation for me, better than anything. But since when I first started playing harmonica, I had them as kids and stuff, and we played them just as toys. But and then my dad taught me to play. When I was about 10, we took a trip to the state fair. It was about a 3-hour drive in his truck with, it was like a S10 with a bench seat. So he and myself and my brother, we were all sitting side by side, and he had his harmonica on a rack. He played, and he brought harmonicas for us and taught me to play on the way to the state fair over the 3-hour drive. He just showed me, like, if you cover up all the holes, you can play this one note really clean. And so that started my playing, but I hadn't heard one of those sounds that when you hear it, you're like, I've got to learn that.
Oh, yeah.
Or a song. So that happened probably when I was 16 or 17. My mom took me to see Sam Bush perform in Steelville, Missouri. and before him, the band opening was Cross Canadian Ragweed, and I think he plays or played on a rack, and it was just a great experience in general seeing those two bands, and the room that they were in was the layout of the audience was all around the stage, so you couldn't have asked for a better way to experience such a good performance. But then when he, in the middle of a song, started playing, really expressive, emotional chords on the harmonica, on a song, the whole crowd just went nuts, and that really planted a seed and caught my attention. Like, I want to do something like that. I wish I could do that, but it never clicked. I didn't go home and start learning it at all. I was a guitar player. I grew up playing guitar and studying guitar, and that's what I did for fun. And then as a young adult, my husband, he joined a band, and I started going along to the band practices. And
Oh yeah.
I didn't consider myself a musician at the time. I had become a musician as far as singing and playing guitar. I was playing in church as a teenager, and we were going around to festivals and different churches, and I was becoming a performer, but I still hadn't it hadn't clicked in my head, the harmonica. I was a jack of all trades and master of nothing. I had a keyboard that I would sound out the chords on, and I had a guitar, and I was playing around with the violin, and just wasn't sure what I wanted to master in, so to speak. And the harmonica was on like, I just didn't realize what I was sitting on at the time. But in that band that he was in, I started to sing harmony, and I didn't want to just sing harmony, and I didn't want to just play the tambourine. So I think in that band I brought along a harmonica. I'm not sure how that happened. I remember the bass player,
Okay.
he gave me some of his, but I ended up starting to play some songs just by ear, and it happened to sound good, and they were like, we want you in our band. So I just became a harmonica player out of the blue. I didn't want to play guitar because everybody else played guitar very well. I play well enough to accompany myself, just basic country and folk and bluegrass, but I'm not a lead guitar player. So I wanted to keep playing guitar, but not pursue that as the instrument I'd be playing in a band. I wanted to find something that was unique and that was unique. So that's where I went. I learned like Last Dance with Mary Jane and just a lot of cover songs. I learned shanty. That was one of the very first songs I learned because somebody said if I learned that song, then I would be able to play anything. So I just started with that one.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah, that's
yeah.
interesting. What was the first thing, the first piece, the first melody you ever learned? And can you play that to us? I can also play mine.
Boy, the very first melody, it was probably You Are My Sunshine. I play that.
Okay.
I might try to do it on guitar.
Roberto from Brazil says, when I grow up, I want to play like you.
Oh, thank you. That is the best thing a musician can hear.
That's also an awesome way to learn nowadays, just like the online thing, because from, well, what you said, it was probably different with the guitar. You probably had a teacher there, right?
Yeah, I did. I was teaching. I've always been self-taught and not really had a teacher. I don't read music. I don't know a lot of the lingo. Stuff that I play, I just call it a thing. But I know enough on guitar, like the names of the chords and if we change keys and stuff. But over the summer when I was about 15 or 16, I was kind of bored. We lived out in a rural area, so there wasn't a lot to do when school let out. But that was great because every summer I would get bored enough and learn to do something new. So one summer that was guitar, and I had a Mel Bay guitar chord book with a few songs in it, and I just went through and had so much fun learning to pluck the bass string accurately and learn the chords. And my mom noticed, and she signed me up for lessons in our little town. Like I said, it's in a really rural area. All of Missouri is, a lot of it's rural, and so there wasn't a music school where you could go and sign up. We didn't even have like a stoplight. There in my school, kindergarten through 12th grade. There was about 300 to 400 students. I think it was 312, if I remember right. So a very small town. And I lived about 20 minutes from that small town in a very peaceful, beautiful rural area, but there wasn't a lot to do in the summer. So I learned to play the guitar well enough on my own, and my mom knew a family in town that was very talented and musical, the Harper family. They're actually on Spotify. They're incredible. And they became my guitar teachers, Galen and Katrina Harper, and they taught me more on the chords and taught me some flat picking and gave me some opportunities to perform out and stuff like that. So I did have that with guitar. And then in that town I was talking about in Bunker, at the time there was a little restaurant called the Pickin' Porch where you could go and all the old timers would be there, and there was no limit to the number of guitar players that could come, and you just could watch the guitar player next to you and follow their chords. And it was just such a great way for any young musician to start getting into music and getting used to being a part of the music
Oh yeah, you
and
got
to
to
learn.
play with other musicians.
Yeah. So that was great. But as far as harmonica in that day and age, I think there was the internet, but you couldn't go online and watch a YouTube video. We'd never heard of that yet. So there was no Adam Gussow or Jason Ricci I could talk to when I decided to join a band and start when I was invited to be the harmonica player in a band and I was not yet a harmonica player. I called my dad, who got me started, and his dad had played too. So it's a family thing, but I just called him and I was like, what kind of harmonica do I need? What keys should I get? And who should I listen to? And so he said, a Hohner Special 20.
Of
So
course.
I think so I bought some of those, and then he said find Charlie McCoy. So you couldn't go online and find Charlie McCoy. I had to go to Walmart, and I did find, I think, a Charlie McCoy CD there. I found him somehow and started listening, and I found Charlie Musselwhite at Walmart. Charlie McCoy wasn't there, but Charlie Musselwhite was. So I really ended up getting a lot more bluesy with it. When I found out that Charlie plays with a lot of special tunings, I just decided I wasn't ready to get any specially tuned harmonicas. I just wanted to play straight diatonic harmonica. So I didn't. I listened to Charlie McCoy's style of playing, how he is so specific and expressive with the melody, and how he almost, plays almost like you would sing it, very detailed. So I knew to do that, but I didn't learn to play any of his stuff just because from what I could tell, a lot of it was with a specially tuned harmonica that I didn't have. So I
Yeah.
kind of went down more of the blues avenue from there, playing southern rock, blues, and country in a cover band on Fridays and Saturdays, 4-hour shows. So I learned pretty quickly. And I also learned we always had good guitar players that I would just steal whatever they were playing, like whatever they would play. I'm a very audio learner, and so if I heard them play it, I could usually echo it pretty close. And I could tell that they could tell I was doing it, and we would start kind of trading licks back and forth, and I was like, this is the way I want to play. I want to play with the other musicians, and I love mimicking the other musicians. I don't usually try to play like a harmonica player. I'll
Yeah.
try to play like a lead guitar player. Not well, but I still try to just keep that in mind. Or I'll try to play like a fiddle player, because my husband Justin, he plays guitar and fiddle. And I love the sound of a fiddle or a dobro or a steel guitar, anything like that. And so that's one of my motivations too, is just that mournful sound, imitating it. And with the violin, I see Justin play the violin a lot, and I'll notice, his hand goes up and his hand goes back down. And I've played violin enough to know there's a science or a math, a physics, an economy of motion with your arm, where you have to fit enough notes into that up bow
Yeah.
and figure out how to get back down. And that's so similar to me with harmonica, where you have a breath out and you have a breath in,
Very true.
and you will find your way. Once you find it, it's a beautiful thing. And I like horn sections too. My dad took me to Roots and Blues and Barbecue when I was about 20, 21, 22, a young adult. And that was the first time I'd been to a blues festival. And it changed me. It changed my life when I saw they bring a lot. I think they have 2 or 3 stages in barbecue, so it's very festive and fun. All the folks that came to it, just great audiences and the energy at them. But the acts that they brought in, they'd bring in Susan Tedeschi and Derek Trucks and the Blind Boys of Alabama. But my favorite act that they brought in year after year was the Music Makers Blues Review, which would change. It would be a different selection of artists, but they were all from like the Delta, from down south. And so, like, I remember hearing them play and just wanting to jump out of the car and get there as fast as, like, when I heard the music as we were pulling up to the festival, like, pull over. we've got to we've got to find that music. And I remember being really impacted seeing the trombone player, because he was almost like a cheerleader for the audience, the way he'd go doo, 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 and just like the way he would move. And
Yeah.
you can see his instrument really well, but he also just really involved the audience, connected with them really well. And
Yeah,
I love
I'm a little jealous of like these instruments that are just a little bigger and like kind of more physical, you know, like at least like the audience can see a little more. There's like more action involved visually for them, you know.
Yeah,
So that's why I sometimes move a lot to playing harmonica.
I do too. I compensated for it in so many ways.
Yeah.
I do a lot of clapping and stuff, which I've kind of gotten known for, because I'll play the harp, but then when you don't play the harp the whole song, so I'll take my part and then try something else to do. And I do wear a lot of bracelets and stuff just because you can't see my instrument, and I'm so jealous of these
That's
lead
so
guitar
good. Yeah.
all these beautiful guitars, and you can't see these beautiful golden melodies when you're holding them. So I've even, let me see if I have one.
And then also you got like photo shootings where it's like super hard to highlight the harmonica, you know?
Yeah, I've bedazzled, like this one. I put
Yeah.
gems and stuff on the sides of them, and I find all kinds of ways to help them be seen.
That makes sense. And then also, it's so good to know a little bit about guitar, like especially if you're playing with guitars on stage and maybe like knowing which position they are playing in or which chord they are playing.
Yes, at least I can say, oh, they're playing a G, so I need my C harmonica out,
Yeah.
and just helps with all of that. I'm so glad I got that background. And now, this year, I've been trying, I don't want to be a one-woman show, but I just want to be able to do some songs and play guitar and the harmonica. I can play guitar and I can play harmonica, but then when I start putting the two together, there's some shuffles and stuff where I'm trying to strum and do a shuffle, and I'm trying to get better at that, at doing shuffles and strumming at the same time. That's really tricky, and so I have to play harmonica differently when I am accompanying myself on guitar. I have to find other ways to get that shuffle sound without shuffling.
Yeah. But I still think like that just the combination of guitar and harmonica is just like a perfect sound. Like it just belongs together.
And it helps me too as I try to pick out notes. Like, I would encourage anybody, if they can, to learn the two at the same time. Even if you're just learning a G chord, just learn to strum that G chord and do scales on your harp and find all the notes that sound good with that G chord and find the ones that don't. It's really helpful
Oh
to
yeah.
be able to, even if it's just strumming chords, a little bit at a time.
Yeah, so good to have some sort of a reference.
Yeah.
Roberto says he likes the mug. Yeah. I took it out for the stream, like the Marine Band.
Oh, cool.
It's nice. Tastes fantastic. Would you ever learn trombone? Stephen
What's
Hodge
that?
asks if you would ever learn trombone.
Oh, I wish I could learn trombone. They're just too heavy to carry around. I'm really stuck on these little harmonicas now.
Yeah. But then you
It
gotta
has
carry like your whole case, right?
Yeah. It's so nice to have a small instrument. You can collect, I mean, I have 30 probably in my case right now. And if I had 30 guitars, That would be a big storage problem.
Yeah.
I like the ease and how I can take it anywhere. I can take it outside on walks. I can take it in the car. That was another thing that helped me when I was first learning to play. I was going to college and I was working full time, so every day I was having a commute, and I never wasted that commute. I'm sure I got some strange looks, but it was a rural area, so the roads weren't chaotic at all, just straight stretch. And I could have two hands on the wheel with a rack, or I could just play it, and I
Oh
wouldn't do
yeah.
anything too distracting. But I would play while I was driving and just practice my stuff and get an hour of practice in a day, just like
That's
that.
really
And
good. There's so many who aren't able to.
you cannot play a trombone in the car.
Yeah. Well, what's your favorite key on the harmonica?
G. I love G. Any of the lower ones. I also really like B flat, and I don't know why. I just really like it.
Yeah. It's my
It's
favorite
not too
key.
low. Is it your favorite?
Definitely. Because like I don't know, just like it feels like it's just like the perfect range. Like where
Yeah.
all the notes feel right. You can still like get all the low bands and they still sound nice. And the upper octave isn't too high.
Right. I'll
So yeah.
struggle like if I were on an F harmonica, I don't know if I could get a blow bend on the 10 hole.
Yeah.
But on
I'm not sure
A
if
G,
anyone wants to hear that either.
one like between from C up to F, sometimes it can sound kind of tinny. But if you were playing with a lead guitar player, an F really cuts through really well, and maybe a G wouldn't. So sometimes I like that F because I do want to cut through. But I love the G because it's just low and it doesn't sound too tinny. But I do like that B flat. I think 'cause it's as low as you can get, but also as high as you can get, and still get everything
Yeah.
like you said.
Yeah, and it's like basically the same range as a flute.
Okay, interesting.
Stephen Hodge, oh, he deleted his message. I think he says Heidi Newfield says the only sad thing about playing harmonica is that you have to cover your mouth while playing. Like, or like, I mean, it's true. Like, if you're on stage, like you cover like half of your face.
Yeah,
And I even
but
got like old people, I don't know, like sitting in the last row, coming up to after a concert to me, and they said, "What did you even play there? What did you do on stage?"
and if it's not too trained of an ear, sometimes they'll think they don't know who's playing what. Sometimes
where the
if two
sound is
people,
coming from, right?
I've been complimented before on something that was a guitar solo, but I said thank you anyways.
Yeah. Just play a rocket low to sound like a trombone. That's a good comment.
I love trying to sound like the horns. A lot of times when I'm playing, I'll think of what would the organ be doing right now on some of those Southern rock songs. I used to play with the organ player, and I always tried to stand by him. I felt like we were our own section because we were complimenting. We weren't playing the melody. We weren't leading the song, but we were just putting the butter on the popcorn, the salt and the butter. And that's what I like to do. I don't like to be in charge of everything, and I probably couldn't, like, because I don't read music and I just get distracted. I don't know if I could in my head tell you at all times what measure we're in and where we're at. I love being in a band with people that are as good or better than me, and as a group we know the whole song, and somehow magically it just works and everybody shines. But I like having that, being the complimenter. I like doing the turnarounds and the fills. I like singing harmony and playing harmony, and I like to pretend I'm either the organ or the horn section or the fiddle. That's usually what's in my head, is what would that
Yeah.
instrument be doing?
It's so good to know like about the harmony stuff, singing for the harmonica playing too, if you're in such a band, right?
That's been amazing, actually. Like, I and it's still going on, but the more I play and sing, the more they merge together. There's things I've noticed in my
Yeah.
singing that I definitely don't think I would ever sing that way, except I have it in my head, the bends and like the glissando type stuff. Instead of just singing that note, I want to go down, back up, and then back to the center. whether I'm on the harp or I'm singing it. And sometimes I've heard myself bend something, and so it just with my voice. And I do like George Jones and that those singers that do that imitate almost like a steel guitar. But I also encourage anybody that's learning harmonica to learn to sing and do it at the same time, because you're using your diaphragm. So both practices are strengthening each other, but also just learning scales and stuff like that, whether it's on the harp or vocally. For me, it kind of went into my subconscious and they kind of blended together and came back out. So I've noticed now when I'm singing that there's some things I do that sound kind of harmonica-y. And
Yeah.
I'm excited about it and I want to see where it goes.
So you have a Hohner rocket in your rack right now?
This is a special 20.
Oh, okay.
I mostly play cross harp in second position, but sometimes I end up playing straight harp, like if it's a gospel, or I like a lot of gospel and folk and bluegrass songs if I'm by myself, because that's stuff I can play. If I'm with the band though, I play a lot. It's nice because I can play a lot faster, and it's a whole nother animal. When you've got a 5-piece band, you can devote all of your energy just to zoning out and playing the harmonica. So I like that too. But if I'm accompanying myself, let's make sure we're not out of tune.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about doing "You Are My Sunshine." I'm gonna do that one. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy with skies of gray. You'll never know me how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful melody. And I actually used to, I mean, I just noticed again, I used to listen to this one a lot. There was a version by, I gotta check. Let me search my Spotify. You are my, or maybe it's my, probably added it to my favorites. Let's see. It was more like a reggae version of it or something.
Oh, cool. There's a lot of great versions of that song. It's a classic for a reason. It's got great words.
Let me check. Sunshine? Oh no. Maybe it was called differently. Or it was like some sort of a mash-up. It was like 2 songs in
Oh,
one or
yeah.
something.
I'm trying to think of what the other one might be. somewhere over the rainbow or something.
Nice. Send one of these mugs to Rio de Janeiro. I mean, that could be a possible future prize for one of the challenges. But on Sunday, we are giving away 3 brand new Hohner Golden Melodies.
Wow. Everybody get you one.
We got to talk about that. Who are some of your favorite female harmonica players? Asks Steven.
My favorites are Indiara Sapphire and Rachelle Plas, absolutely. Especially after that amazing performance they both did on the Golden Melody launch video, which is still online and can be watched. I was telling you earlier, it's just such a, I'm not saying because I'm in it, but because those two especially, and your performance too, but I just really have always been a fan of Rachelle, and I'm going to be watching that video over and over for a while.
I mean, now Rachelle is really like eponymous to the instrument, to the Golden Melody.
Yeah, and well deserved. So deserved. It makes me happy that somebody can do that on the harmonica. Like, it is such a great time to be a harmonica player. If you're a fan of the harmonica and coming from I was learning it when the internet was more scarce and there wasn't as many resources, and there definitely wasn't the network and the harmonica family that is on the internet. If you know, you know. Like, the harp community is so close and so supportive. Like, I didn't realize that like I do now. But I joined Modern Blues Harmonica, a really good group on Facebook, and I have gotten so much encouragement from them over the last couple years, and they help me pick what microphone to use, and it's just a great time to be a harmonica player, whether it's because of the awesome networks online and the groups and just the support you get from others. And there's always been amazing talent, and there is in this decade and this season. It's awesome to see the people that are playing, and to see their success, and to see the sounds and the innovations that they're able to do with the harmonica. I'm just sitting here collecting it in a bucket to practice later. Isaac Corbett is one that really inspires me too, with his playing, like, just the innovations.
Yeah, I mean, he's the harmonica king on TikTok.
Yeah, that was so awesome. I'm just cheering him on, like, go Isaac, go. And Gregory Hohner too. I just discovered him, and he's in St. Louis, just an hour north of here. So I'm just excited to have another harmonica player here in Missouri. We have another harmonica just player south of me by 30 minutes, and his name's Eric Thompson, and he's phenomenal as well. So here in Missouri, we've got some great talent, and all over the country. It was awesome to watch that Golden Melody launch video. I was very, very inspired to learn some new styles, because I stay a lot in the country rock and southern rock and blues areas, and I liked just the way, I know they were playing probably in some different positions and stuff, but I liked how happy that their chords and melodies sounded, and I want to explore that and figure out what they were playing. It gave me the itch.
Yeah. And that's right now, it's a fantastic way to learn too, just like by being part of the community, joining the harmonica forum, the group on Facebook, the Discord server, whatever. And you can exchange, you can just like get feedback to your videos. I mean, it really helped me to just like record myself and just like put it out there and get feedback and learn from that.
Yeah, to gain confidence and some assurance and get honest feedback. I've had great honest feedback. Someone once told me, "I love the way you sing. I wish you'd play the way you sing." And they meant it in the best way. And I immediately thought, I love that advice. I've always thought about that, but I'm going to think about it more and push more that direction. Because sometimes we try to sound really gritty and bluesy, and sometimes we lose that expressive melody, and just trying to stay in tune to that and find the right balance. And I've had advice just on the way I held my bullet mic while I was playing Someone
Yeah.
said, just someone was nice enough to take the time. They watched the video and they commented and said, "There's a better way you could hold your bullet mic." And I I know that if I were playing guitar or something, I would get some pretty good support online, but I couldn't call up Joe Walsh or some monster guitar player
Yeah.
be like, "Hey, let's talk." But in the harmonica world, everybody seems so accessible. I haven't you can talk to the greats and they're happy to give advice, and most of them are giving lessons and doing stuff on Patreon, and it's just a great time to be a harmonica player.
Yeah. Gregory is in the chat. Hi, Julia. It's so fun to hear you play. Your rag work is so melodic and clean, so wonderfully refreshing. Sorry for location-specific question, but where in Missouri are you performing nowadays?
I would love to talk about where we perform because that's actually something I think is really cool. Like, everybody talks about Nashville and Memphis, but I'm going to talk about Missouri. We have such a good music community. We're kind of in our own little wine country, so there's a ton of wineries south of St. Louis. Like, you might know Herman, which is more near St. Louis, but as you come down 55 down 67 highway towards Farmington, Missouri, we have Twin Oaks Winery, we have Crown Valley Winery. So many wineries and so many venues, a lot of bar and grill areas. I'm able to play. Last year I played 65 shows and I never drove 30 minutes from my house. I didn't have to travel very far. I just leave my
Wow.
house in
Yeah.
the evening, go to the venue, unload, play, and get home. So, which is not only is it great because there's a lot of venues you can play at, but your followers, because it's such a small but spread out area, it's spread out, but it's close enough that we have folks that go to every single show almost because they can. They're not too far apart. So we have a really rich following of fun people that have made a lot of good memories with us, and it's really we had such a fun, fruitful, heartwarming year last year. We got to stay really busy, got to stay close to home. There's just, even this year, there are more venues than there were last year. There's more bands than there were last year. A lot more, significantly more. So it's a great time here, and this is a great area. And for me personally, I think I've found my favorite area to play. I've thought when I was younger that I would want to play a stadium or some big intimidating stage, but now I really don't think I would do it. If the Grand Ole Opry calls, I'll be there. But what I really like, what I think is the sweet spot, is kind of where I'm at right now, where we have a lot of really great venues in a pretty close proximity, so just a great area for music. And then so it's it's not so big that the bigness kind of takes away from the experience. It doesn't become too stressful, or I just really like what we're doing right now. We have
Yeah.
my band is called Sweetwater Holler, and we play rock, blues, and country. And pretty much every Friday and Saturday last year, we were out gigging 4-hour shows. So that was a great year. We got really really tight playing that much.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You definitely need some experience with the band to, yeah, so everything locks in and stuff.
Yeah, and I play by ear, so there's it's hard for me to get motivated to practice sometimes, especially at this time in my life. I have two toddlers. I should mention that. So I'm at home with them during the day, and so I don't have as much time to practice, and I don't want to practice as much because I want to give them my time and I want them to grow and learn. But they're very interested in harmonicas too, and guitar, and my youngest son, Jesse, actually, when I was pregnant with him, I played 10 shows with him in my belly. And he is the most musical. They're both very musical, but he really seems in love with the guitar. He just wants to be near it when it's being
Yeah.
played. And he looks at all the frets and studies the hand and pays attention to everything. So So anyway, a band has been a great motivation for me. Like, I'll just admit it, I have a hard time getting motivated to practice sometimes. And if we have a gig coming up, then I have to practice, and I'm going to get 4 hours of practice. Well, 8 hours. If I play 2 shows on the weekend, then that's 8 hours of practice, so to speak, at least staying on top of it. But I
Yeah.
do want to make more time to grow and learn new material too, so that it stays interesting. But it's tricky now with family because I don't want to take too much of that time for myself. So I'll do it in the mornings or in the evenings usually, or at nap time.
Right. Uh, Greggy also asks, is there a chance you might come to Spa?
I'm trying to talk myself into it. It's on the calendar. I
Nice.
haven't booked any gigs. I told the band we're not playing that week. I'm probably going to Spa, at least for with the kids. I don't know if I'll do the whole week, but I definitely want to come up there for at least one show.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a harmonica festival before?
No, I've not. I've been wanting to go. When I saw all the fun they had in Oklahoma and that Rachel was there, I really wished I had gone to it. But we had gigs. We didn't get to go do much of anything or see any other live musicians last year. We were so busy. But yes,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm.
harmonica festivals are something different.
Yeah. I can't imagine. Just so many styles to learn, and I would just be there as a student to learn as much as I can. That's another
Yeah,
great thing about the harmonica. Like, I'm sure other instruments have their conventions. Like, steel guitar convention is probably pretty cool, but I think those niche instruments, the unique instruments, they have a closer group of people all around the world.
definitely. Yeah.
We may not have all met in person, but we all know who each other are.
Yeah, and like everybody's spread around the globe, so that makes it pretty exciting. And then you also get like all the different like influences from other players and
Yeah.
other parts of the world. Like if you play another instrument, you would probably only get like the local influences first, at least.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's so nice to have the internet and be able to watch all the videos. I when I first started out, like when I talked about learning to play harmonica, I joined a band and became the harmonica player. Adam Gusau was one of the first ones that I just watched a ton of his videos, and I loved the way he explained in a very simple, friendly, approachable, attainable way how to play the harmonica. He made it sound like it's going to be fine. Let's just do this. You're going to know by the end of these 3 minutes, you're going to sound cool. And I know that's what you want. And he just had a great way of laying out how, making little lessons that you could understand. And I like the way he taught him in the car because that's where I learned a lot of harmonica myself.
Yeah. So I would be super interested in talking about the new gold melody with all the people out there watching too. I would
I just
love to
happen
hear
to have
some
one
opinions
here.
out there too, because we both got one. I think
You have it.
I have a C and an A and a G.
Oh, I would like to get a G. I only have the C right now, and I want to
And I
play a
only
low.
like set up the C a little, like I did some gapping to it. I
I
didn't
did
do
too with
anything
mine.
else to the others.
All I know how to do is open them up and run like a little receipt under the reeds, just to lift them up a little bit. And I just did that, just check to make sure they were all where they were. But it played great the moment I got it out of the box. And one thing I noticed when we played the last show we played was at the Oris with the full band,
Oh, did you
and
play it live on stage already?
oh yeah, I did. I was excited to for its big debut, and so that was the first time I played it on a vocal mic, and that's what I've been doing mostly this year is playing on a vocal mic for a couple reasons, but I have to do that again to say for sure, but I felt like something really magical happened when it got on the vocal mic. Like it seemed so responsive, almost like it was playing itself on this upper half. Like, I know part of it was the energy of the band and a great show, but I think we were playing Freebird or something, and I don't do the solo for that, but I do a lot of accompaniment and complimenting it. And there was some high up thing I was doing, and it sounds good when it's not mic'd, but there was something about it going through the vocal mic. I would venture that these really shine when you hear them through a microphone. Like if someone's playing them, definitely also play them through a microphone and hear all the little details, because they are very responsive. Like the action or whatever is really tight. Like they respond very quickly, and it just felt so flexible and responsive just immediately. It sounded great through the vocal mic. I was very excited about that. I felt like I discovered something. Like they're already cool, but then once you hear, if nobody's ever played their harmonica through a microphone, maybe they don't know, but you don't have to play as hard, and it hears just the minute details and the micro notes.
And I mean, you also got like more possibilities in terms of just like loudness. I mean, you can play more soft. You got like a bigger range of volume and expression.
Tone sounded really good on it. It sounded like it was just singing on the mic.
And I mean, the instrument does look really cool. And I told you earlier before we started the stream, right now I actually feel like that the old Golden Melody really looks old.
Right.
I don't know. It just like looks so ancient now.
Yeah.
I got so used to the new look already.
Yeah. One thing that would happen on the old Golden Melodies is I don't know how, but my cover plates would sometimes start to get mashed right here.
I heard about that. That never happened to me. Yeah.
I don't see that happening here. I never had a lot of problems, and I could always play them. They never became unplayable. But I don't know if it was clapping my hands and holding them, but I would start to see something going on there. But on these are just, I think you could, I don't think anyone should run over it with a car, but I think you could, and it would be okay. It's
I mean, it's well stabilized here. That's true.
And I'm a very standard person. I like my standard screwdriver, and I was shocked when I first saw the T7 screw, but
I had to get a T7 screwdriver.
I'd already bought one. Good harmonica karma. I was at the store. I did not know I was going to need it, but I'd already bought a screwdriver set a couple weeks earlier, so I was fine. But with the previous model, I've had multiple times where these screws would get loose. I don't know why, but they just seem like I would have to tighten them. Sometimes I would even notice they were gone. And it was mainly with the Golden Melodies, to the point that I would remember to tighten them down before a show. I would think, remember to tighten down your Golden Melody screws, Julia. So maybe there was some feedback about that. Maybe that's why they did that.
Yeah, I mean, the T7 is definitely weird. I had to get one of the screwdrivers too, but I mean, to be honest, it never felt that good opening up the instrument and putting it back together. Like, yeah, I don't think this is ever gonna like break or something, and you gotta exchange screws or something.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think they definitely.
And looking at it, this is like the first time I noticed this. I feel like the comb is a little more up front. Like if you compare how far the comb reaches out in comparison to the reed plate.
Yeah. Just like a hair.
Yeah.
Just enough. It definitely does. The first thing I noticed, I felt like it tapered more, or maybe it's an illusion, but it just looks more triangular, and I thought that would really help with the embouchure. But as I look at them, they're pretty similar. I think the back is even bigger and taller than it ever was.
Which is good. I mean, that's what the harmonica lacks, right? Like a huge resonance chamber. I mean, you have to be the resonance chamber, or like your hand. But, I mean, having a little more support from like this cover plate shape might support. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a fan of it. I understand it's different, and I'll always love the original, and I do love this one too. I'm excited about the design of it. I like the for me, it sits fine in my hand. I think with anything, if you change it at all, it takes some getting used to. It just takes some time.
Yeah, I'm used to the design already, and now like, I mean, it's definitely a difference. Like, the new one is thicker, and you can feel that.
Yeah.
and you can get used to it. Like now, if I hold the old one in my hands, it feels pretty thin.
Yeah. I think at first glance, a lot of folks thought this one was smaller, and maybe there's something about it. To me, it's the same width, though. It even looks wider because
Yeah.
it has the comb, and then it's definitely taller in the back where it opens up than it's ever been. And everybody said it looks like a classic car, so that's obviously a cool factor.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I want to experiment. I want to send this to my customizer and ask him to make this as good as possible as my regular marine bands with special 20 cover plates that I play. And he sets them up for me. I would be interested in what he can get out of this. And I asked him, I'm not sure if it's like, I want to just compare if he can get rid of this support thing and kind of like, remove it. Like, I think I'm not the person of like squeezing the harmonica too much, and that never happened to me.
What about, I wonder if it makes it more acoustic. Like if you're playing a drum, you don't want to touch the drum and mute it. I almost wondered, you can almost have less contact with the cover plate. I don't know if that makes it any louder.
Oh, so you get like some sort of a resonance from the cover plates themselves.
Less contact on those cover. Sometimes I feel like I'm muting it, but not with this one. It's got there's less contact if you choose to hold it that way.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed that I like is that this Hohner word can't come off. I've had some harps where I bet you that's one thing it looks like they took into consideration a lot of things and addressed them with this, so that's kind of cool too.
I mean, there wasn't even a logo on the old one, right?
Yeah.
So you couldn't tell. Also with my customized, but yeah. I mean, here it is, but
mine's still there a little bit. I got
exactly. That's what happened.
So I know that has to be an improvement there, that they might have planned a more permanent name on it.
Roberto asks, well, what is the most comfortable position for you to play, Konstantin? Laying down on my back? I don't know. No, I'm like probably third position, right? And 12th major. Like that's what sits super natural on the instrument. And you got a lot of draw notes in the middle octave. It's expressive and you can do the major stuff, but also like the sweet bluesy stuff. Yeah. How is it out of box for overblows, overdraws? Did you try over bands on the instrument? And how do you like the bands out of box?
I thought I had no trouble with them, other than just lack of practice, but I struggle on the 10th. But I think I would.
I'm not sure if I set it up a little up there.
Yeah, it's in there. I think it's mostly me. This is my regular, or my, what are we calling this? The classic. This is the progressive.
The ancient.
I struggle to get the 10 bend anyway on a C. I do better on a G, any of the lower ones.
Yeah,
but
I mean, the ultimate test would be the half step bend on 10, right?
But I felt like the bends were really good. What about the low bends?
Yeah, and then especially if you would play like the lowest bands available, it would be a good sign if there's like no additional noise coming out of the instrument. So If you could go down on other out-of-box instruments, there might be like some sort of a noise coming out then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's clean here. I like the gold melody. I only play single notes. I don't use chords. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's good for, you know? And I mean, I noticed playing with orchestras, tuning the harmonica gets more and more important. Like,
Yeah. I kind of need to send all
I
mine
mean, they
in
just
for
tune their instruments to whatever the piano, or like oftentimes also like the oboe plays a huge role there. That just has like some sort of historic role. I don't know. Or it's like the most stable instrument in terms of pitch. And then if you would play like a just intonation harp, or like also sometimes with the compromised tuning, sometimes you play the 7-hole draw and you know it's just like it's too flat and you can't do anything about it because you can only bend it down. You can't even bend it down, like, and you can never play higher than the instrument is tuned on the harmonica. You can always play a little lower than the instrument is tuned.
Yeah, like a guitar, it can be a little out of tune and you can just bend that string a little harder
Oh, yeah.
to get to it, but you can't bend it the other way.
Yeah, so for the harmonica is the other way around. And if like the 7-hole draw, for example, is too low, like you can't do anything about it. It's just like it doesn't sound in tune then. And for that purpose, like all the melodic material and stuff, yeah.
How often do you tune
Golden
your
melody.
harmonicas, and do you tune them yourself, or do you have somebody that helps?
I don't tune them myself, and I tune them way too. Yeah, I never. I mean, now I feel like I have to send all of them to my customizer to get them tuned.
Yeah, I have enough harmonicas now where I can do that, where I could keep a set and then send a set off.
I also just like recorded some reel for Instagram yesterday, and I played an E-flat harmonica, and I noticed that I wanted to play some octaves there. Where's my E-flat? Oh, here it is, and they're out of tune. You can just like hear the kind of the little tremolo effect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice by itself, but if you play along to something else and you hold the note for a little longer, you notice. So I put some auto tune on there, or like Melodyne.
Yeah.
Especially with the higher tuned harmonicas, they detune cool a little quicker, I guess.
Yeah.
That's out of tune. That's terrible. That's like a tremolo harmonica. It's a beautiful sound. I think like there's like a tremolo chromatic that Suzuki makes. I don't know. I always loved the tremolo feeling. There are so many Asian players playing the tremolo harmonicas like just diatonically, but they use different keys at the same time and then just switch between instrument to just keep that sound with like more complex music.
Yeah. You mean, so they're switching with, are they playing two harmonicas?
Yeah, they are just like they are stacking them up like 3 instruments and then they playing like
wow. And chromatic? It's chromatic as well? So they're dealing with the buttons?
No, it's just like a tremolo, like a diatonic. That's why they have to play the different instruments.
Yeah.
That would be interesting for the rack, maybe, like having like 2 harmonicas in the rack.
Yes, I would like that because I like to play 2 when I can, just to get just to go through the different positions and start with some low tones and end with some high tones and build up the song a little bit. But I have put 2 harmonicas on this rack, but I have to do it side by side and sort of angle them, and it was stressful the whole time.
What kind of advice can you give to rack players out there, or like people who maybe want to play harmonica in a rack? Like, what's the main difference for you playing harmonica holding it in your hands compared to having it in a rack?
It's so different, and I love both of them because it makes me appreciate. Sometimes, even if I don't like playing on the rack, it makes me happier when I go back to my hands because I think now I can do some of the and the like the
Yeah,
shuffles
it's
and
probably easier to do the
all
trolls too.
the yeah, the stuff that made me want to play the harmonica. I usually have to hold it. I don't really feel like myself when it's in the rack, but I like what I like about the rack is it, especially with social media videos, you kind of have to. We talk, folks talk about you have to get their attention really quick, and I think that's how I got into playing the guitar and the rack and singing about a year ago last summer. It was when I said to myself, you play guitar and you play harmonica, why don't you have a rack? You should be playing guitar and harmonica together. Not all the time, maybe, but you need to at least be doing it as a exercise. And the first time I did it, the first thing I noticed was it was almost like practically you just forget about everything because you're playing this and you're playing this. And so it's very relaxing once you, because you can't think about anything else, any cares or stresses. You're just, you're, and it's amazing to see that your mind and your body can strum and play the melody at the same time. So if somebody can try it, you're gonna. At first, I felt claustrophobic and very uncomfortable and impatient about it, and I still do. Like sometimes you'll get the rack on, and then you've got to put the guitar strap over your head, and then put your hat back on, fix your hair, and so it feels like
And then you
once
got
you
the
get
hat.
everything,
Crazy, yeah.
yeah, you gotta have the hat. But so I would encourage people to expect to feel a little claustrophobic and annoyed at first, and just to do it anyways for a little bit, for as long as you can. And the thing also that I liked about it was because you can't use your hands to do sounds, it forces you to use maybe your diaphragm to get a shuffly rhythm. Maybe not the notes of a shuffle, not doodle doodle doodle, but you could at least go dit, 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 and either use your mouth or somewhere in your body. Like I do like an inside out cough. That's
Yeah.
what I call it. So if I'm wanting to cut up those beats a little bit more and I can't just do my easy, like the shuffle thing just always sounds cool. And if I can't do it though, then on the rack it's forced me to learn to play in additional ways. So I've gotten better at using my diaphragm to cut up the beats and add a little bit more rhythm and more texture to it. And it also, for some reason, I started doing tongue blocking more, trying to find,
Okay.
because my usual tricks weren't working because I didn't have my hands to move it around. So I had to find other cool sounds that I could make because I didn't want to just. A lot of times I'll play like folk, campfire sounding songs, but whenever I can, if I can get a cool sound in there, that's my goal. That's why I like to play. And so once it's in the rack, you can't have as much fun with it, it feels like, but keep finding ways you can. Try tongue blocking and try finding chords and making like in my head, it's like an accordion. Be the accordion and learn some chords and learn to use your diaphragm to cut up the beats a little bit. It's helped me grow for sure. And then also playing along, just strumming like a G chord and going up and down the harp and finding every single spot where that sounds good with that G chord. And because I can read tab, but I just don't like to. I want to just hear it. I've always approached it with faith, like I'm going to learn this just like I learned a language. And sometimes that's been a disadvantage. Like I can't picture, if a song gets too long, there's no way I can visualize that entire song in my head. So I have to commit it to memory and just listen to it over and over and over until it's stored somewhere where it's there and ready to get to. But I've always tried to learn it like a language and just trust that if I just keep doing it, my brain learned to speak English when I was a kid, so it has that ability,
Yeah.
and I just want to give it that ability as much as it can. And I'll go to tabs when I need to, but I don't want to. And I'm definitely not discouraging tabs. I think they're important and people should use them. But just for me, just the way I was built, it works better if I just approach it learning by ear. Definitely check with the tabs if you can, but I try to just keep my ear and my brain doing the work where I can. But that goes back to the guitar and the rack. It's just nice to be able to strum a chord. I would encourage anybody to do it, or on a piano. Just have a second instrument if you don't have backing tracks. It's nice to just sit with that one chord for a while. Just play that G and play each note on your harp as beautifully and cleanly as you can, and don't move on to the next note until you can play that note beautifully. In
Yeah, just like
bluegrass,
memorizing the feeling and like getting a feel for the relationship between the two notes. I mean, that's the best
yeah,
thing you can do,
there's so
which
many
is way
muscles
better
in the
than,
human.
I don't know, learning how to read notes.
Yeah, there's just so much to learn just as far as muscles in your face and in your mouth that nobody can show you. Nobody can show you. They can try to tell you like, "Oh, I'm coughing backwards," or like when they're trying to explain a bend, like how to move your mouth to do that. You really just have to find it. And but like Charlie McCoy, for example, he plays so beautifully and precisely, and any studio musician, a session player, would play so perfectly. So I'm I'm not a perfect player at all, but at least when I practice, I try to remember slow and perfect speed will come. And I don't practice very much, but when I do, that's another advice I'd give to new harmonica players is slow and perfect. Speed will come.
Yeah.
And my husband Justin, he plays fiddle and he's won awards for in the fiddle competitions around here. And we've also heard, so I've gotten to go to a lot of fiddle competitions and hear these amazing kids play the fiddle and play bluegrass and play so cleanly. And one kid that I was just so impressed with, they told me that they will practice their parts for a couple months really, really slow before they just tear loose. And that is the same thing it kind of verified or validated what I was doing was right. Like just practice it as slow as you can. Speed, we can always work on speed, but let's get those notes sounding as beautiful and exact as you can. Think
Yeah.
about the song and the words that are being sang. Try to play it exactly by the melody and don't add any extra decorations because sometimes I'll definitely lean on the decorative notes to find where I need to be. So when I'm practicing, I try to get away from that and just really make sure I'm not being lazy and that I'm learning the precise note. And then the other thing is rhythm. That's something I'll always be working on. Practicing with a metronome and until I can't hear the metronome, I'm so on the beat. Because I really struggle with rhythm naturally. And so I encourage anybody to also practice with a metronome. And no matter how good you sound, if you're not right on that beat, you're going to sound weird. It has to be on the
Yeah.
beat.
Rhythm is way
And
more important than the right notes.
it can't be echoed enough. And I have to tell myself that too. I'm deaf in one ear, so I can only hear on this side. So if I'm playing and I get too into it, maybe I won't hear the drummer anymore. Like I really have to tell myself, you better be listening for those drums and make sure it's on the beat because a musician can get too into the song until they're not with the band anymore. You can't hear it, and you got to keep one toe in the
Yeah,
in the beat.
that's something that a lot of musicians say. Like, you should definitely like maybe listen. 80% of your ears should be listening to the other players and only 20 to yourself or something.
Absolutely. Don't even think about what you're going to play. If you listen to your band and they're good, and you're listening, you're enjoying their solos, and you've already practiced, just listen. And when it's your time to play, you're going to know what to play. That's my motto.
Yeah.
Is don't even think about it. Don't be guessing what you're about to play. I never play the same thing exactly the same way twice. And especially playing live music, we don't jam. We play it as exactly like the original as we can. I'm probably the only one that's not like the original because most of the songs we do never had a harmonica on it before. So I get to do whatever I want on it, whatever sounds good. And but I've always told myself, don't be practicing the little fill you're about to do. Just listen and be hungry and be ready for when it is your note. And I've really appreciated the drums. Like, I don't know what section I'm in. Sometimes I say I'm the horn section or I'm
Yeah.
the string section, but I also consider myself the rhythm section because I mean, people have been talking about beatboxing on the harmonica, and even with blues there's just like I want that to be on the snare. To me, like, there's certain things I want to line up with the snare and with the bass, and I want to complement it. And the more I think about it and study it, the more it's helped me to play in a more rhythmic way.
Yeah. Yeah, rhythm is so important.
It is.
I also had to do some chugging on the recording I did yesterday, and I usually like that never happens. I don't get to chug too often. I also
Yeah.
wanted to ask about the movement. Gregory is in the chat. When you play rag, do you ever struggle with your right hand trying to do the same thing as the harmonica or vice versa? How do you
Yes.
overcome that?
Gregory, you need to tell me how to overcome that. It worked just with practice, and also if it's not easy for me, I don't want this to come out wrong. I'm not saying if something's hard you shouldn't do it, but sometimes you shouldn't. Like, sometimes when I study guitar, my husband also plays, so we talk about stuff, and he's very good at rhythm, and he says you don't need to make it hard. You don't need to be putting one finger way up here and one way down here. You need to find the area where it all is and play it that way. So for me, if I think I need a better rack. Like, I think it's a $15 rack. It's the only one the store had. I just had to have one. So I'm wanting to get a better rack that comes up a little higher. And this one there's got to be a better one. It doesn't, like with shuffles, it feels like you're moving the rack around. It doesn't feel sturdy enough. So, but with the left and the right hand, especially when I try to do shuffles, it seems to it goes off the tracks for a second, and I just wait for it to come back together. So I've been trying to avoid shuffles a little bit just because my rack's not sturdy enough to hold the harmonica where it needs to be, and also I've noticed my hands and the harp get out of sync a little bit. But I think one thing that has helped me is just whenever that's happening, you need to go back to the guitar and get it in the muscle memory. For me, the guitar, I'm not thinking about it at all. I'm not a very good guitar player, but I've played it for the longest time, longer than anything else. And so fortunately, even though I've not devoted myself to it at all in like 10 or 15 years, because like I said, my husband plays guitar, everybody in the band plays. I haven't needed to be a good guitar player, but fortunately, all those teenage years playing the guitar, it's just in my hands. And so I don't have to think too much about the guitar playing when I do it. It just is in the hands. If I have to think about it, I think I will fail probably. I don't think I can think about playing guitar and think about playing harmonica at the same time. Like, one of them has to be independent. And the magic of muscle memory, like, you can do that with a guitar. I'm not perfect at it yet, but I've been amazed to see what I could do, and it gives me hope.
Yeah, like, think too much. It's not pretty good. Sometimes. And I noticed that, it's good to like start learning new things, and then you notice that again. And I just recently started to do kickboxing, and it's incredibly musical. Like, it's all rhythms, and then it's also, of course, you got to get the technique right first. Yeah, it's all rhythms, and then you got to get the technique right first, and then it's faster, 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 and then it's also, what I wanted to say, it's rhythm, but also
dance.
Yeah, it's just like more like subconscious. Like, if you start to think about it at a certain pace then, or at a certain speed, you're not gonna do it right.
Right. you've got to get it in the muscle memory through some kind of sincere
You
practice.
basically got the
Practice
rhythmic
slow and
combination, and if you got the technique down, then you just gotta shut off your brain and just do it.
yeah. That's what I like about freestyling. Like, and I can't do it well by myself, but if the band's playing and I can hear the drums and the bass and everything, to just make up stuff on the harmonica, I don't have to think about that really at all. I might be thinking, oh, you were playing down low, so you should move up high now, or you've been playing straight notes, add some chords or something, but I
Well, it's
don't think
terrible
too
with
much.
classical music if you know, oh, you're like 4 bars before like the hardest passage of the whole thing, and you already start to worry like it's never gonna happen that you play that phrase right.
Yeah. I have a hard time when I move up to the second half because there's something in me that wants to resist because it switches, I guess, from instead of blowing or
Yeah.
drawing. And right there when it switches, if I'm warmed up and I've been practicing every day through the week, I usually will be fine. But if not, there's some resistance and I end up, my brain goes, no, we're going to do it the way I think we should do it. And it's always wrong.
Yeah.
Quiet brain. Let me just rely on the muscle memory. One thing that helped me this year was like when I do dishes or something, not for long because I get, but I'll put a harmonica in my rack and then
Well, thinking about that, I also want to get a rack now so I can play while doing stuff with my hands.
yes, just so you can
I can get
practice
more
like
practice in.
just that one bend. I won't play like I'm not walking around the house going, but I
Oh
will
yeah.
find the one note that I need to land on. If I don't want to, like, one thing I'd like to do is not bend down to it. I just want to play that bend note immediately without bending down to it. So, I'll just wear this while I'm doing the dishes and I'll find that note. And I'll just sit there and play it over and over and over and just check in with it every once in a while. Like, okay, am I still doing it? And
I
all
see.
day long, just practice bending it perfectly, slowly, perfectly. And then when it comes time to play later, it's just there waiting. It's good to practice slow and perfect.
Yeah. There's the last question by Music Guy. Are certain harmonicas smooth to play and do some hurt your mouth? I mean, there are definitely some more ergonomic shapes with certain harmonicas.
I like
I
all
never
the
really
Hohner
hurt my
parts.
mouth playing. I mean,
I will
when
tell
I
you
practice excessively, maybe, or
or if
like,
you're playing long, if you're playing, I've played outdoor shows in the cold where my lips would get chapped. I've hurt my
oh
mouth
yeah,
that way, but if you're puckering up too much, you're not playing it right. Like Adam Gussow has some good videos talking about like where to put your lips. The harp should be more in your mouth than out of it so that you get a warmer tone first of all, a fuller tone, and so that you don't hurt your lips. I think if your lips are where they should be, they
yeah,
shouldn't be getting hurt. You shouldn't be hurting your teeth. I did get, I don't know who makes the Piedmont blues harmonicas, but when I first joined that band back in like 2008 and I became a harmonica player when I joined it, a harmonica student overnight, I bought a 12 pack or something. It was like at least 8 harmonicas because it was every key and I think a flat. So there might have been 9, but it's called Piedmont Blues and it's a set of harps and they're all plastic combs and plastic cover plates. And I don't recommend them at all because they do a plastic, it's kind of a porous cover plate. I mean, plastic, I don't know how it would go well, but the reason I bought it was because it had a nice zip up case and I could get all the keys at once because I didn't have, at
yeah,
that young age, as a young adult, I couldn't buy a 45, 8 $45 harmonicas or whatever they were at the time. So I just needed all of them at once. But those were a little rough. Like a plastic harmonica would be rough, but I like special 20s, golden melodies, and rockets. That's what I play, and I don't have trouble with any of those. And I really like the rocket too. I love their comb. I like the way the comb on the rocket comes out a little bit because I think it helps with stuff like that.
Yeah, that's definitely like a more ergonomic option for you out there, music guy. Yeah, like because
It's like a good embouchure or
you
something.
have the reed
I
plates
just like
embedded
seeing embouchure.
in the comb. So
I'm going to be ordering some more rockets for sure and some more golden melodies because I'm excited to hear it in a low tone. I just have my
yeah,
C so far.
yeah, I gotta experiment a little with them, but I want to use them in my videos too.
Yeah.
And they just look like a 21st century harmonica.
Oh, yeah.
Finally. So I gotta get that out there too, like the Golden Melody Challenge. It's happening on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
You can check out the description box below. Our special guest and jury member is Rachelle Plas this time. And you can upload a recording of you playing your personal golden melody. Could be an evergreen. On the harmonica, doesn't matter which model, to the Harmonicats Discord server. It's linked below in the description box. It's also like basically just a harmonica forum. And you can exchange there and upload your recordings. And there are already a lot of submissions, some rag submissions too. Andre from Portugal, for example. I don't know if you know about him, but he's now like one of the Hohner affiliated customizers,
Okay.
and he does crazy work for people all over the world with like weird instruments and all the like the brand power inventions and old harmonicas that aren't available anymore, and he just like fixes them and
Wow,
makes
that's
them
very
playable
cool.
and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can win one of 3 Hohner Gold Melodies, the new one. There are 3 categories: beginner, intermediate, advanced. You can basically pick your own level. Yeah.
That's what I like about those contests is that they have different categories in them. It's
Yeah, I
great
mean,
to hear
for
all
us,
this.
it's like if you're objectively an intermediate player, but you upload to the advanced category, it's your fault. Like, if you don't
I,
win. But, I mean, if you're objectively an intermediate player and you upload to beginner, we would just be like, okay, you're an intermediate, we gotta put you up
yeah.
there. Because we usually listen to beginner first, intermediate, and then advanced last.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah, and then
good.
it's like a popular vote in the end. You don't have to be the best player. We just pick like 5 from each category, and then people watching can vote for their favorite. And you just gotta have a lot of fans tuning in, so you win the golden melody.
What platform is that? Is that on Discord or?
So we have like the Discord server, but then the stream is on Twitch,
Okay.
which is, I don't know, it's just like there's a better connection between Twitch and Discord.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that. I might have to go play something on there, upload a video.
But yeah, I mean, we can also do a challenge at some point too with a new topic. We never did a country harmonica challenge.
Well, that would be cool.
We actually
That'd
never
be good
did, I think. Did we do a challenge with... I did interview Mickey Raphael, but we never did a challenge, I think.
He'd be
gotta
perfect for
check.
that. That's one artist. I'm glad I studied a little of his material when I was in a band, and probably 2 or 3 years later, I was in the college in this area put on a 2-day concert called The History of Country Music, and I got to learn a lot of very country harmonica for that. And then from there, I met a guy that was a Willie Nelson impersonator, and he put on a 100% Willie Nelson show, and he covered for Valentine's Day. He sang the entire Stardust album, which I had not discovered yet, but he hired me to be the harmonica player for it. So I got to learn I was a really young early fledgling harmonica player, and I'm glad that like I was studying rock and blues at the same time, but I was also over here learning all of Mickey Raphael's parts, and
Okay.
I have to kind of tab it out and write down, okay, he's blowing here. I wrote down some tab and to figure it all out. I really enjoy his playing.
Yeah, I mean, he played some of the classic melodies,
Yeah.
and I just like, yeah, I just like listened to one of them again. I think he even played the harmonica on like one of the easy versions by Lionel Richie, which was like it's featuring Willie Nelson, and then there's some harmonica playing there too.
Hmm.
So I linked all your social media platforms below. What's like the best place for people to check you out? Where are you most active?
Thank you. Facebook has been the best place for me so far. That's where I get the most views and the most interaction, and I've met, I don't know what it is about Facebook. I've done really well there. And then I'm also on TikTok and on Instagram as well, but
Oh, okay.
for sure.
Wow, I didn't link the TikTok. I didn't know that you're on TikTok.
Yep, I'm on there too. But I don't reach as many people. Like I'm there kind of I like to experiment and test. Like I'll do the same video on all three and then
Yeah,
one will get 100 views and the other get 15,000 views. And every once in a while on TikTok one will catch, but
it's weird.
yeah. It's kind of lonely there on TikTok. So somebody add me on TikTok so I can succeed. I don't know if it's a different demographic or something. Maybe I don't have my
Definitely,
hashtags right.
yeah. I feel like I mean there's still like a lot of harmonica players are on Facebook, and the Facebook groups are still pretty active.
We have such good groups for harmonica on Facebook that I just feel like Facebook is, unless I'm wrong, but I think Facebook is where all the harmonica players
Yeah,
are. There's definitely more, but globally, I've met more people around the world, maybe on, well, also on Facebook, but on Instagram, it's just a different algorithm. It seems
yeah,
like I don't meet anybody nearby, just people from far away. And thank goodness for Google Translate so we can talk.
yeah. I mean, you can really discover harmonica players from all around the world on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Some people ask if I give lessons, and no, I don't give lessons. I'm still
Oh,
a
okay.
student. But I do, I love to give encouragement and guidance. I love to point people to the things that worked for me. And I usually have like just a list of things I rattle off of what they should at least get a C harmonica, at least a special 20 quality or a golden melody, something where you'll succeed in bending and not have air leaks. Watch a good instructor. For me, it was Adam Gussow. He just, I like how achievable and easy and down to earth. He didn't use a lot of jargon, just cut to the chase. And then somebody told me when I first started that if you play 1,000 hours, you'll be good at it, which I think it's a lot more now. But I guarantee you, after 1,000 hours of practice, you'll definitely be happy with a lot of sounds you can make, and there'll be songs you can play, and you'll be ready to practice another 1,000 hours. So I tell folks, make a goal to practice 1,000 hours within the year if you can, and
Yeah.
see harmonica and get a good one, get a good Hohner, high level. Just treat yourself to a good harmonica so you can get a good experience out of it and be able to make all the sounds.
I actually thought that was the last question, but I really like that one. Gregory says, you both have a great social media presence. What recommendations would you have for someone starting out to build a following?
Go to Modern Blues Harmonica and always share your videos there. That was like,
Is that the way?
for me, it was during COVID. I wasn't a good sharer, and like 10 years ago, I didn't even really tell people when we were playing our shows and stuff. And after COVID, during those lockdowns and quarantines, I didn't see anybody for like, it felt like I didn't see anybody for a year. And so I started sharing stuff a lot then, and that's when I got encouragement I hadn't heard before, and I really started to believe in myself more than I had before, and got sponsored by Hohner last year. Last year especially, I just seemed to really get my footing, and each thing that would happen would be more encouraging and more encouraging. And but going back to the social media, I like to do testing, so you can post something on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok and just observe what happens and see which one was most successful. And then also try, at least on TikTok or Instagram, try posting it 2 times, one in the evening and one in the afternoon, and see which one of them
Yeah.
always good hashtags and stuff. But for me, what I've had the most control over is Facebook. Just make a really good video where you're doing something interesting. For me, if
That
I'm
still
doing the
works on
rack and the
Facebook,
guitar,
yeah.
and then on Facebook, I have the power to share in all the harmonica groups. And there's Harmonica Jam Nation. There's Just Play It Harmonica Group. There's Harmonica Player Magazine, Modern Blues Harmonica. And then this one's not a harmonica group, but the Blues Club. If you're playing blues,
Okay.
you can get them in there. And then if sometimes like the gospel and country and blues stuff, starts mixing together. And when you find a video that you can share in multiple genres, or in a songwriter group and a blues group and a country group, that I think I did that with a Hank Williams song, So Lonesome I Could Cry. That one I got a lot of views because I was able to share it in country and blues and harmonica groups. So it was like 3 streams that I was able to
Yeah.
send it out to. So you get to be strategic. I don't feel like I have as much freedom to play and express myself and show what I can do with with the rack, but I feel like it gets more interest because I'm able to sing, play, and I like when they first open up the video, they can tell like, oh, okay, she's gonna play the harmonica. So I'll start with singing, and I know they have to keep listening so they can see the harmonica solo. That way, retain them a little longer in the video, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like the topic because like it's not only about the individual players, but it's like also just about yeah, giving the harmonica as an instrument more attention and like yeah, I mean that would be nice if like some people got even more attention with the instrument on social media, you know.
Yeah,
As
absolutely.
Isaac Corbett does on TikTok, which is amazing. And
Yes,
yeah, I mean there could be so many more harmonica players. There's space for everyone. And
absolutely. And every harmonica player, it's kind of like birds. They have different calls. Like harmonica players should be different. Like there's definitely some standard stuff you should know, and you should try to learn a melody as precisely and accurately as you can, but then you need to add what you think sounds cool and bring that to the table. Everybody has a different fingerprint, a different voice.
yeah, yeah, and I mean a really good video still works on Facebook. It's different on Instagram now with the algorithm. I feel like
Yeah.
you don't really
I
know,
still
even if you put like a lot of work into it. Like
Yeah,
doesn't
I've
matter
never felt
sometimes.
like I had any control. I could try to guess the right hashtags, but I felt like I was just kind of throwing a bottle out in the ocean to see where it would go. But
Yeah,
on Facebook, it feels very human and alive, like real humans are. I'm sending it to a group. I can put a comment on there saying what I'm doing, telling them what key it's in, what key the guitar is in. So you just have so much control on Facebook. You just need to find those groups because the people in those groups, they want that content. I want it. I'm in those groups to see what other people are playing, and you're. It's a great time to be a harmonica player, like I said before, just because of modern blues harmonica is like if my number one favorite group. It just feels like a I don't know everybody in there, but there's a lot of names I recognize, and it's always great to get feedback. And I literally wouldn't be the player that I am if I weren't in that group because I've learned stuff and gotten good advice and good encouragement.
yeah, yeah. And then on Instagram, I don't know. Like sometimes might be good to share some personal stuff, some stuff that sometimes doesn't work out. Like especially as an artist, you want to just upload music that I mean that you really like or you're really happy with the recording and stuff. But maybe post something that where something went wrong. I don't know. And
Yeah,
I'm not good at it at all. I should do that. You know?
and I know some of those like don't get discouraged if they're not putting your like if the algorithm isn't moving you further in the feed to more people because sometimes if you don't post 7 times a day or something, you're not even in the consideration. I don't know what the number is, but I think on TikTok if you post like 5 posts a day, regularly, your chances of being selected to be moved into like this feed of suggestions to non-followers is not as it's higher if you're a regular poster,
Yeah.
which I don't have time to post that much. I wouldn't want to. That's a balance too. Is not like I don't want to. I like my life in the real world too, and I absolutely am so grateful to be connected, but I don't want to stay on it. You could get burnt out either way. And it's good to go online for all the encouragement and stuff, but sometimes I get overwhelmed, like anybody does, by just all the different. If you make one video, you have to upload it here, and upload
Yeah.
it here, and
Yeah,
that
there are
starts
like
to
different
feel like
video
work.
concepts that work, and I think like there's a pianist. He just contacted me, and he does like pretty viral videos on TikTok, and of course, like there's a method behind it, some sort of, or like an idea. Like he plays piano at like airports and at the train station and stuff, and then I mean, I'm not sure. I can just suppose, or I don't know. Like so, in these videos, they have a lot of cameras, I don't know, or like two phones, and then suddenly some other guy joins on the piano out of nowhere and stuff like that, you know? Or like
Yeah,
somebody starts to dance, and I mean, that can work, you know?
yeah. Anything with a surprise or some drama or a surprise, especially. I've tried to think of a few creative things, but
Yeah. I mean, I want to try starting to experiment a little too, but let's see what we can
yeah.
do with a harmonica in that crazy social media world. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, everybody follow us on Instagram.
Yeah,
See
well,
you
help us
there.
out on Instagram and TikTok if you wish.
And yeah, be part
And
of the
hopefully on
community.
Facebook.
So thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for taking the time. We really did speak for 1.5 hours, basically. This is a pretty long Hohner Live. So
Wow. I knew that your videos went a while and I thought, how am I gonna I don't even know what to talk about. I just know how to play it.
that was
Like
super easy
Plas.
to get to 90 minutes. So
It's
yeah,
always a
everyone.
treat to talk to another harmonica player. I don't get to talk to a lot of harmonica players, so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you to
So
you and to Hohner and to everybody that tuned in and just for everybody for all their support, everybody that follows my music and encourages me. It means the world. I think a lot of my success has just been because other people thought higher of me than I did of myself and have been cheering me on. So I'm just happy to be here. Thank you guys for tuning in.
thank you for tuning in. See you on Sunday, hopefully, on Twitch for the challenge. And then, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to keep you updated on the next Hohner Live interviews.
Yeah, keep us updated.
Have a nice weekend, everybody. See you online and on social media. I just gotta find OBS and stop this.